Live. Why are you live? Oh, just sat on something. Hold on a second. Man, that's not how you start a video. What's up, everybody? Turn that off. Turn this on. See if anybody comes in here. I don't know if anybody's going to come in here or not. Turn that off too. Excuse me, I just had a very fatty dinner. I had some hamburger meat with jalapenos and cheese. Very, very ketogenic. Very ketogenic. Let's see, Gary Santasari. And I always butcher your name. GNC Family Trucking. Hello. Chucky Wheeler, Everquero, Clyde Garland. What's up? I thought I'd go live tonight. I'm getting phone calls of people saying, well, I haven't seen a video from you in a while. You're still alive? You still okay? And I'm here to say that yes, everything is okay. So, Pigtail, what's up? Steve Berger, how's it going? Now, Steve Berger, right there, did a really, really good video. Steve Berger did a good video that doesn't just apply to Schneider, okay? He did a video about 5 things that have helped him be successful at what he does. And it's a really good. Go to his channel and look up his his latest video. Rick Jones, what's up? Mopot, what's up? Provost, no phone calls. We missed coffee talk. Mike Miller, yeah, I haven't. See, that's the thing, man. It's why I tell these new YouTubers, don't have a set schedule, because then you get forced content. And I really haven't a coffee video. I don't know. I'm not feeling very philosophical here lately. Just been kind of existing. I've been I think my survival in the spot market has been because I've relied on 2 or 3 of the same brokers, but this week I've decided to start making more phone calls to kind of stand my ground on rates a little bit more. I'm gonna run in some bad areas because the freight in my normal area just isn't there. Nothing Woody's in the house. Got a lot of time on this load, but you know, combine this with the last 2 loads. I've had actually a pretty decent week. So your week off at the roll was refreshing. Yeah, I wish I could have seen that on TV. Do you have to be 100% keto all the time for it to help lose weight? Cousin it? No. Beer, that's cheating. I think last weekend I actually had some Chinese with some rice. Had some white rice or whatever. If you reduce your carbs down to 90% than what you were, yeah, you don't have to be perfect. It's good to kind of change the body up a little bit. It's good to kind of change things up a little bit. But I'm still, really don't. I'm definitely keto still. I mean, but I don't, like I said, I've always hated that word a little bit because it's kind of misused. But I definitely do a low carb thing, and last time I weighed I was down to 260. And a couple of weeks ago, Facebook Memories popped up a memory of when I was hanging out in Joplin with Tex Crowley, George, and Pale Rider. And it was it's kind of weird to see my old self. You know, I no, you don't have. See, that's the thing, guys. There's a lot of keto Nazis out there, and I'm definitely not one of them. It's it's all about change relationship with food. So I mean, once you do that, then it doesn't matter if you're 100% or not. But you know, it's hard to be perfect. It really is. Yeah, I get the no set content release. You got other stuff going on. Going YouTube should always be in the back seat. Yeah, I mean, I think that Grafton, I think that we all kind of get caught up in it. You know, I think we all get kind of caught up in the narcissistic attraction that this has. And I've been guilty of that. I've neglected some of my business stuff because of YouTube, but I've kind of, it's all a balancing act. And as far as no set content, you know, I always laugh at these YouTubers that say, you know, weekly vlog or monthly vlog or whatever. And if you set a schedule and, you know, life happens, right? So you can't, especially in our world, you know, nothing's set, nothing's, you know, you could have a steady run that's the same thing every week and still have times that you can't go a certain time, you know. And you know, I didn't do a weekend live this weekend because I wasn't really inspired. I did that Pale Rider, you know, pre-show thing, and I didn't call it weekend live. But you know, my weekend lives can be Friday, can be Saturday, can be Sunday, and I just wasn't inspired to say hello. There's really no topics I want to talk about. We could touch on a couple of things. We can go over a keto thing. We can go over, you know, the challenges of self-dispatch, you know, have been a lot more challenging for me, and we could talk about that if you guys want. I've lost 25 pounds, very low carb and no sugar. There you go, cousin it. Can somebody make the dang heat go away? It's in some rain. The last couple of days we right past the daily high. It was like 98 today in Birmingham. Yep, it's going to be hot even more so this weekend, Jonathan Wheeler. Me. Guys, look, sugar's addictive, man. I still have cravings. You know, a year and a half later, I mean, last couple of days. Still get cravings. It just shows you how addictive it is. Trucker for Life, what's up? Trucker for Life did a video. His Freightliner fell apart. That's going to cost him a penny. And lost revenue and downtime, that's for sure. Go check out Trucker for Life's video. Big Rig CEO, what is up? Because it is moving to Montana. The heat will be going away soon enough, then you'll be seeing the white stuff. Right. Careful what you wish for, right? Keystone is too hot, it says. I love Montana weather. Yeah, not me. Montana's beautiful in June. That's about it. But we talk about the challenges of self-dispatch. Of course, it probably would have been better if I titled the video that. Craving sugar, lick salt, your body actually wants sodium. That's a good point, Johnson. Most cravings is the body's way of saying, hey, you need to... It's one of two things. It's like with MSG and stuff like that. Or it's actually craving some kind of mineral that you're not getting. Now, I kid you not. Most of the time I buy baking chocolate, 100% cocoa, right? No sugar, no sweetener. It's just flat out chocolate. Okay. And for dinner, I'll have my dinner, and then I'll cut a small piece, let it melt a little bit, let it get soft, and I eat that, and it's real bitter. It's like eating a cup of coffee, right? And It takes away that craving, even though there's absolutely no sugar, no sweetener, nothing. It's bitter. And it takes away that craving. So that's another trick you guys can use if you like chocolate. You find it in the baking section at Walmart, and you got to be careful. You got to get the 100% cocoa, because you got semi-sweet and 65% sweet. They got all these percentages, and I think mineral thing, it helps with that. I think it helps that. Is this stupid CPAP machine thing you supposed to throw water at your face? No. Daniel, do you need CPAP lessons? Same thing I do. Check and make sure that you didn't overfill it, number one. And number two, make sure it clicks in. So, if not, you might have a leak somewhere. Are you getting the red icon, the little red smiley frown face or whatever in the morning? Rained here in New York. Very cool up here. 51 degrees and dropping. Yeah, fall is here, man. I think there's a day that temperature's supposed to drop out here in the Midwest. Happy Whamma Jamma. Thanks for shopping Walmart. You like them Walmart endorsements, don't you? No, you don't get the green happy face? Daniel, okay, so this goes for anybody who has the CPAP machine. Register for the online thing, My Air, and then it'll give you a full digital readout of what your machine's doing, because your machine should be sending a signal every morning, and trying to figure out what's going on. But mine's never sprayed water, so without seeing what you're going through, I don't know what to tell you. But I have the red thing as well. You just got to adjust the mask just right. And what I do is I unhook it, right? And then I'll put the mask on, and I'll get it. I'll do it in front of a mirror. Get it adjusted real well. And then put the thing back on, the hose back on, and then just make sure everything's tight. Go through it. I don't have AirVaquero. I could never download an app. Maybe because they didn't have it in Droid. The mask is just right. Okay. I wouldn't worry about the red face. As long as you're getting 4 hours plus, you're good. Yeah, and you don't want to fart into it, Pappy. That goes without saying, really. It goes without saying. Big Tech Strucker, what's up? So I'm here to say hello. Hello. First, what I do, it is funny, when I got my first CPAP machine, the guy said, "Yeah, you're gonna do without that goatee," because I had a goatee back then. I positioned the mask so far up that it seals right there, and I've got it kind of tight. So when I wake up 50 years old, it's gonna look stupider, but because stupider is a real word, and so it's kind of like against that. So it seals pretty good, actually. I get the green smiley face. It's My Air app, I think. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, upstate New York was cool last week when I was there. The colors are starting to show up there in New York. Yeah, the leaves are starting to show here in Missouri too. I'm in this dusty parking lot. Not many trees where I'm at. You're still waiting to get in the shop? Yeah, Trucker for Life. I think that you had mentioned to somebody that renting a car was going to be $1,200. That's incorrect. There's a lot of people that have done a lot more miles that they're car rental wouldn't be $1,200. So I would actually flirt with the idea of renting a car so you can go home, because if you're waiting on the shop and it's a major repair, which it is, there's no way that it's going to be done in 4 or 5 days, like they say. So it would be financially better to probably just rent a car, and I know renting a car is not $1,200. Burger, did you get my comment I left you last night on one of your videos? That's a very general thing there. You know, Burger's a good YouTuber, but he doesn't he's not obsessed with it. So I don't know if he did or not. It's not supposed to be 98 in October, though. Just saying. Right. Well, I agree. Unless you're in Florida. You have a dog. So they're going to charge extra for the dog in the car? See, I told you, Daniel. Burger's not going to remember. How about you just say, hey, Burger, did you get my comment I left on such and such video, not the general Qualcomm video? If I remember correctly, you sync the app to your machine serial number and get the stats of how good you slept. Okay. I think I looked up that app when I first got the machine, and there was nothing available for Droid. But, I mean, I'll look again. I've got so many apps on these new phones. It's the one here. Okay. We're going to talk about the challenges of self-dispatch. So, I know a lot of you have entered the spot market or have gone to Landstar, Schneider, you know, a place where you can self-dispatch. And if you're anything like me, which, you know, I pray for you if you are. If you're anything like me, you were probably sitting there as a company driver going, my dispatcher's an idiot. He doesn't know what the heck he's doing. My load planner did more than to get in a self-dispatch system. You gotta be really, and if you don't know the area that you're going to, you need to allow yourself extra time for parking. And you're gonna realize that it's not so easy to self-dispatch. How many times have you guys that self-dispatch did a load, didn't think that you're gonna find parking, so you're out 2 hours away? And that made it a challenge to find the next load the next day because you started your clock way early. That kind of happened to me. Happens to me all the time, actually. And when you know an area, it's a lot easier, right? You know, and I tend to run the same stuff, but I've kind of gotten out of my box a little bit. And I've been using some different brokers, I've been doing some different loads, and while I take pride in how well I schedule stuff, it's definitely been more challenging when booking with confidence. You're gonna park, you know, you don't want to book a load that is 650 miles, and you got 11 hours, force you to drive until 10 o'clock at night, but it has a 6 a.m. in the morning delivery, and you're still an hour out. You know, you can't do that. Because now you're going to be late because of the 10-hour break, right? Or there are loads that pick up at like 11 o'clock at night that deliver at 7 a.m. the next morning that are 400 miles away. So obviously you got to work a third shift, you know, which part of the appeal of self-dispatch is if you decide you want to go on a third shift, you make that decision. It's not like one day your dispatcher calls you and goes, oh, hey, I know, first thing in the morning. So, and that's happened to me. I can count on one hand how many times I've had to run between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. And a lot of it was because the way I wanted to do the load, the way I wanted to do my brake for the load, and a lot of the one time I did that, the shipper was the one at fault, really, not me. But in order to get the load on time, I did that. Now, here's the other thing a lot of people don't realize about self-dispatch. Looking for a load. You can't book a load going down the road, right? And that is something a lot of people take for granted. Now Schneider, it was easy because like for example, like right now, instead of talking on YouTube, I'd be on my phone. Let's say I've got a delivery tomorrow and I don't have anything booked after that, which was rare. Usually I was booked 2 or 3 loads ahead. Unless I was going home, and then you look at it and you go, okay, now you can kind of make decisions and and do paths and plans and string loads together, and you're not driving, you're sitting there, eating dinner or whatever. Well, in the spot market, you got the hours of 8 and 5 to call these brokers. Now, I can look at the DAP board all night long if I wanted to, but I can't call on those loads. Now, the Ubers and the Coyotes and the Convoys, I can book something, like right now if I wanted to. Than your standard typical broker. And it definitely makes self-dispatch a lot easier. But again, are you going to be looking at Uber going down the road? Are you going to be looking at the DAP board going down the road? I know that there are those of you that do, and you're kind of playing a risky game there. There's a lot of undercover. There's a lot of cop cars that don't look like cop cars. Today I saw an F-150, no lights on top. So you never know when you got a cop right beside you. It's a big fine, right? And so you rely on, like for example, one of the main brokers I use, I call him and say, okay, what do you got in this area? Then he'll look up the deadhead for me. He'll look up how many loads are in the past it, on the destination, and he'll, and we can run the math, and that's a great tool to have. That's, call a friend, hey, are you parked? Yeah. Look at the DAP board. Look at this and this and this. And in our situation, we have to make sure that they're factorable. So you can't be typing MC numbers and going down the road at 68 miles an hour. The Thunder Funding's, website, and all that stuff. So I mean, that's the challenges of self-dispatch. It's not just scheduling yourself, but your load planner at your company has a job. Your dispatcher at your company has a job. And then okay, so let's say you're going down the road and you've managed to book something off the DAP board. Well, now you got a rate con to sign. How are you going to do that driving? See? So it's good to either have someone at home that can help you with that, or a friend that can help you with that, or maybe the carrier with will help you with that kind of stuff. And that way you can just concentrate on the driving, and everybody gripes about the 30-minute break. I use that 30-minute break if I'm doing a full day drive to book my next load, to see what's in an area, to see what I might do next. And so it's a lot less stressful when you're booked 2 or 3 ahead, for that very reason. So now you're not on the load boards. Now you're not having to look at this stuff while driving, right? So what humbles you is you sit there and you say, well, my dispatcher didn't know what he was doing. Yeah, he knew what he was doing, maybe. But it's not the easiest thing to figure out. And I think that's what takes a lot of people by surprise. Police, I thought I was going to get inspected again in New York today. You in New York don't get along, you Burger. I have my wife look when I'm driving. There you go. Had some vanilla keto ice cream tonight. Good. Good deal, Triple T. Good evening, Michael, semi-truck driver. I decided I don't want to work any shift, but the bills say otherwise. Away, Android sucks, says Daniel the dog. Kevin and Ollie, what's up? So we all help each other. You know, Gary Compton, I was watching the first part of his newest live feed. He was talking about, you know, us small carriers helping each other out. And I definitely believe that, you know, because we're all, if you look at Like Trucking, Big Yeti Transporter, Spartan Direct, and Advanced, you know, we're all kind of playing the same game. We're all the same players on the same field. And we help each other out. You know, there was a friend of mine that's on with a small carrier, who I hooked him up with a couple of people, and you know, in his first week after that, he got, you know, $4,500. Just by using some of the strategies and some of the same contacts that I use. You know, there's a couple of things that I think all of us keep close to the vest, you know. But for the most part, if you can't share information, share knowledge, share support. You know, don't feel like you're by yourself. You know, because when you come out to the spot market, not only are you the load planner, you're the dispatcher, you're the safety guy, you're the fuel solution, and you're also the person that has to book. And you're dealing with different brokers, you're dealing with different dynamics, and then, you know, you got to be safe, you got to inspect your equipment, you got to maintain your equipment. There's a lot of work that comes to being an owner operator. And I don't think a lot of people really know that until they do it. You know, I don't think they realize that until they're out here doing it. They realize that you're not just a steering wheel holder, that there's a lot of, you know, and then, you know, there's the business sense that you got to learn, that you got to acquire, that you got to figure out, you know, and you know, one of the toughest challenges I have, I want to ask you guys a question, okay? What do you think my biggest challenge is as an owner operator, personally? You can hire dispatchers that will watch load boards for you. Is that the same in other areas? Yeah, Michael, you know, there's a lot of fly-by-night Facebook dispatch services. In my opinion, let me add that, okay? If you hire, like, I know one person that is in charge of 10 trucks, right? Not in charge, but 10 trucks have asked this person to help dispatch them. Number one, that defeats the purpose of self-dispatch, you know. But number two, if you're not picky about where you can go, and their job is to maximize the biggest profit, then that could be a good thing. However, they're having to do it for 9 other drivers besides yourself. So you're not getting the full attention that you might be able to do yourself. See? And that's where it just depends on your personality and how picky you are on the jobs that you do decide to do, you know. Looking for loads right now, says Daniel. If you're in the Midwest, you shouldn't have any issues. That is absolutely correct. Daniel likes to run them loads down the southeast. Juan is here. Take the short hops in the Midwest. Low mile, high dollar freight. Less miles equals less fuel equals more money to you. Right. Do you book a week at a time or just a few days? Nick, it depends. Usually I'm 2 or 3 loads ahead, but last couple of weeks I haven't been doing that. In fact, I've had two situations where I was at the loading dock looking for the next load. And you know what? Each time I did okay. I take that back 2 times, and the first time was not pretty. But that leads to what the answer of the question I asked everybody was. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Give a stranger a breast exam, and she may not thank you right then. You might go to jail, but yeah, don't do that. Never mind. Way to stay on topic there, Triple T. So, no one wants to answer my question, what my biggest challenge is? My biggest challenge, I'm going to tell you whether you want to hear it or not, okay? My biggest challenge is to not let my emotions run this truck. That's it. Learning how to do this, learning how to do that, learning how to track your numbers, staying on top of tracking your numbers, staying on top of paperwork. A little behind here. But in my defense, I got time tomorrow. Patience. You can ask my wife. Patience is not one of my strong suits. And not controlling my emotions. Because when you're frustrated looking for a load and you're not seeing anything that you want, see, that's the thing. If you're the kind of person that's not picky about what you put in your trailer, you're not picky about where you go, and you just go with the highest rates of everything, right? Without any regard to where it takes you and what lane it takes you to, you can make a lot of money. You know, Roscoe and I were talking, and just take the highest rate of the load that's on the load board and just go, right? How much money could a person make staying out a month doing that, right? It would definitely make things interesting. But the pickier you are, the harder it is to make money out here. That's a given. That is a fact. Words. Like if you're the kind of person that has to be, that you're only out Monday through Friday, you have to be home on the weekend. Every single weekend, you set that, then and I've been that person. In a way, I am that person. You set area is now down to 100, okay? And then it's a matter of getting the right rate and the times lining up, et cetera, right? Now, when you're looking at a load board and nothing looks good, nothing's paying good, it's easy to put the truck in gear and just go home. Even if you got a high weekly Schneider finance payment. Because if you let your emotions run your truck, guess what? They're going to run your truck. And that's my biggest challenge. That's my biggest issue that I deal with every day. And so I tend to not hold my ground when it comes to rates. But complacency can work against you, right? Because what I found is that I need to brush up on my negotiating skills. And I think I do pretty good on negotiating. I really do. However, my challenge is if I deal with a broker that's less than professional, and they don't care, or if I call 3 brokers in a row that don't answer their phone or put me on hold for 10 minutes, that gets to me. I have no patience for that. And what that does in Dallas on a Monday morning, which Monday morning's the worst time to be on a low board. I don't care where you work, Landstar, Schneider, Spot. It adds to the frustration. So when you finally get a hold of somebody and you finally can get a decent rate, well, the times don't work. Or you finally get the times to work and the rate is just in the crapper. And so with that emotion, you're focused on like, wow, that's really, really low. However, you have to pause and remember that it's a law of averages. What did I get in? What if I combine 3 loads? What's my rate there? But when you're on the fly and loads are going like that, you don't have time to think about that. And so you have to have a default mode. Okay, if I'm going to go cheap, I'm going to go light. I ain't taking 45,000 pounds of heavy scrap metal. That's not going to work for me. So now, boom, what did you just... I've done the metal recycling places. Guess how many tires I've gone through as a company driver? Quite a few. Well, I'm paying the bill on the tire, so I don't want to deal with that. So scrap metal is on my list of what I don't prefer to haul. Now, if the rate's right, I might do it. But say if you're in Dallas, they ain't paying a rate that's worth that risk. For me, anyways, it's a lot easier to take the lower rate for a light load of toilet paper going to a good freight area. And I'm not dealing with metal recycling places, right? And I'll get to the comments here in a second. So it's that's another reason why your home bills should be low, because if you have all the stress you're under, the more likely you're going to run your truck off emotions. Think about this. If there is absolutely no pressure on you to make any money, and you're okay with making 20, 30, 40 phone calls to find that one home run load, you're stressed out and you got to move now, and it's go time. Every bad phone call, every time that you lose a negotiation, every time that you get put on hold for 10 minutes is another frustrating factor. And the more frustrated you get, guess what? You're going to start making a stupid decision or a desperate decision. Screw it, I'm going to take this $1.20 to Phoenix, And I've done that. I've almost done that. Well, I haven't gone to Phoenix yet, but it's easy to fall into that. And I'm really trying real hard to work on for myself. So take the things that frustrate you and see how can I fix this? How can I fix the fact that every time I go to this city, I get really frustrated with the low board? Well, that tells me that I need to be booked ahead if I'm going to go to that city, or not go to that city. But then if I don't go to that city, that's another restriction, because usually you can get a good rate in that city. Dallas is a perfect example of that. Sorry guys, I'm in the comments. No one wanted to guess and make you mad. No one makes me mad here. Nothing witty. You're silly. Not eating pilot pizza every night. There you go. About time, says Provost. Emotions can definitely get the best of you and make you do drastic things. That is absolutely right, Burger. Biggest challenge used to be cell service until you switched. That's absolutely true. Triple T, that's very true. Rob Chester says, try it for a month. I just might. New Cascade sound like a baby elephant. Star over, says Thomas Wilson. Broker says I'll call back in 5 minutes. About 90% of the time they never call me back. Nick, I don't play that game. I mean, it's just, you got to feel the person out, right? I'll give you a perfect example. So I was practically unloaded where I was yesterday, and there was a load going from Fulton, Missouri to Joplin. It was a load of potato chips. I knew the product. I called my normal guy, and he was at lunch. You know, because that's the other challenge if you're trying to book something at noon, you know. And I came across the guy that is in charge of the phones when he's not around, and I bid it at a certain price, $200 over what I would really do it for. And it's a short run, but I needed a daily rate on it, right? Now, mind you, this load picked up same day and had until 6 p.m. Now, I know the shipper. If you show up at 5:55, they're not going to be happy, right? And so the guy literally cuts my rate in half. Yeah, this is the most we're going to do. I said, is so-and-so in? No, he's not here right now. Didn't tell me when he was coming back, because he wanted to book this, right? And I was like, so I told him, you know, what I wanted. He's like, oh, we can't even get near that. And then I used a great line that a friend of mine taught me. Well, how much was too much of this? He goes, I need to be at this much. And it was like half. I said, well, it's getting close to go time on picking up this load. And I know the shipper. Sorry, man, we're sticking to our guns on this one. I'm like, all right, have a nice day. So I booked something else. An hour later, Jeff sends me a text. And it's the dude on voicemail. I guess he called him instead of me. And he wanted to go $50 more than what the lowest offer was. It wasn't very much. But he regretted his decision. And these brokers sometimes play a game down to the wire and they lose. So now that load probably didn't get covered. Or they're going to have to give the original money that I wanted to somebody else because the shipper doesn't care. There's no time limit on it, so we'll just ship it tomorrow. Which they'd probably rather do than to show up 5 minutes before they shut down, right? And I've been in that situation where I showed up 15 minutes before they were shut down. Like, well, it takes us an hour to load you, so therefore we're not loading you until tomorrow. I'm like, well then, instead of telling the broker that you load until 3, tell them that you load until 2. So you don't have anybody showing up at 2:45 where you can't load them. So that's on the shipper as well. But what I did is I showed patience. I held my ground, and I wasn't desperate to move, even though I was sitting there potentially without a load. And it paid off. I got a better load, better rate, maybe not rate per mile, but definitely better per day. And it was 2 customers I've done before. And the only thing that kept me from going all the way to the customer was the traffic jam. And proof of that is, let's say you're trying to book the day of something, right? And it takes you like 2 hours to get something. But then you look the next day, while you're sitting there, and it's a lot easier to book those next 2 or 3 loads. I found that out. I remember one time I was at Landstar, it took me all day to find a load. All day. And then the follow-up load after that took me like 10 minutes. And the load after that, another 10 minutes. Be more patient. And that's where emotions come in. And too many of us out here are dependent, or not dependent, but are affected by our emotions. Putting restrictions on your business makes life stressful out here. That's absolutely true. All right, I'm not reading Triple T's comments for the rest of the evening. Southbound Jay, what's up? But that is trucking. You have to figure out what is your best path through this career. I'm gonna hit the bed. All right, Steve Burger. Everybody saying good night, Burger. Crafty Trucker just went live. Don't follow him. You'll be in Fulton tomorrow. What's up, Robinson? Let's see. Now, GNC brings up a good point. One of the other limitations that we have coming up on us is the weather. Starting next month, maybe now, depending on where you run, I have a habit of bringing up Weather Nation and watching it. And so what happens is now I'm limited, right? Let's say a blizzard's, let's say some bad weather is supposed to hit Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. Well, now I'm looking at freight that's going to, say, Georgia. Well, so is everybody else, right? And so it completely takes out a huge part of the map, right? So, and I'm learning more and hearing more and more that if you book into the bad weather, you can make a good rate. And if you're shut down for a day, so be it. No big deal. You can't help that. So for me, there has to be a happy medium. I think that I'm going to be a little bit braver when it comes to the weather this year. But at the same time, I don't want to put myself or like trucking in any kind of position where I'm going to need a tow or... as far as snow driving, I'm actually okay, I think. Probably not as good as I should be. But ice, there's nothing you can do. I don't care how good of a driver you are. Ice just ain't going to happen. And to be honest with you, if you had a choice between Dallas and an ice storm or, I don't know, Effingham, Illinois in a snowstorm, you're going to go with Effingham. Why? Because they know how to deal with snow. Upstate New York, they get a ton of snow. But you know what? They got snow plows the size of freaking, 53-foot trailers, and so it just finding that balancing act, Pale Rider, what's up? No snow. And I want to congratulate Mr. Wilson. If you look at his icon, that's his new truck he just bought, new to him. And he did about, what was it, Thomas, 2 or 3 years of research, listening to guys like Jeffrey Locke and a couple other people, and he's coming out right. He really is. He set himself up financially, and he's setting himself up with a good truck, and he's signing on with a good company that's going to keep him rolling with a good work ethic, with his good work ethic. Already delivering rock salt for winter up north. Yeah. That's, well, I mean, you got Montana right now, which is getting some snowstorms as we speak. And here's how, we're getting this record heat in many parts of the country. I'm sitting here sweating to death right now because the 2 trucks next to me are just kind of noisy and it's dusty in this parking lot. But you always have that one day where, like you go to work, you go to school, and, you're in shorts and a t-shirt because it's like 78 degrees, and then the cold front moves through, and by the time you're going home, it's like spitting. New Hampshire, Maine getting deliveries tomorrow, yep. Thomas Wilson, thank you. 3 or 4 years. Now, Thomas, with that being said, don't get cocky. Don't think that just because you came out right, don't think that just because you came out better than a lot of people do, that you don't have some work ahead of you. Don't think that nothing bad can happen. You could throw a rod in that truck tomorrow. Now, you got a killer warranty, so it wouldn't be no money out of your pocket. However, there would be a loss of revenue in that truck payment. I think that overconfidence for a lot of people is another emotion that you have to worry about. I think that the arrogance, I think that some of us out here are arrogant. Some of us out here are overconfident. Some people are nonchalant. I've been guilty of all the above. If I feel that I'm being arrogant in a video, I'll take it. Sometimes I do come across arrogant, but I don't know it all. I don't know hardly anything. Now, you tried to cover everything. Now, so here's the thing. The more right you come out here, the more confidence you have, the easier it will be to make decisions if difficult situations come before you. In other words, that confidence will keep you from running off your emotions. Whereas I did not come out right. I came out with a good, steady credit, but I didn't have a whole lot of money in the bank. My truck could have been a better truck, but I'm grateful for what I did because it really taught me to figure a few things out. And at some point with the market the way it is, or the way it's been, this has all been a learning experience. And there's been a couple of times where I needed a checkup from the neck up. And my true friends tried to help me out, right? And that's important. Having friends and having support from the family is incredibly important, and especially because how many times there's been times where I'm sitting there frustrated with the low board, frustrated, and then a friend of mine calls, "Hey man, what's up?" "Oh man, just freaking going off, right? Well, this and this, and you ought to look at this, and then, calm down, you can do this and this, and then next thing you know, I'm feeling better, boom, I book a load. What did they do? They actions on said situation. Happy medium and keep a good attitude. Pale Rider says he's arrogant, but Pale Rider, is it really arrogance, or are you really just the best? It's hard to be humble. I've done everything you told me to. That's what worries me, Thomas. A lot of the stuff I told you, Thomas, was stuff that I've learned the hard way, right? And if it wasn't for a little bit of luck, I wouldn't have made it either. There were times when I almost didn't make it. You're not conceited, just convinced. There you go. Grafton, what's up? Pale Rider. I just can't wait to get back to work. Hey Snorler, what's your thoughts on Bindex or anti-collision systems on company trucks? I understand big companies try to protect their assets, but those systems can do more harm than good. Big Tex Trucker, I've got one of them collision mitigation systems. It's the Bendix on my truck here. Now, it's a love-hate relationship. It has saved me a couple of times. However, it has scared the crap out of me at times. The only thing I don't like about it is you don't have 100% control over it. So, if it's raining and something The situation arises that causes the truck to slam on its brakes. Well, here's a winter driving tip or bad weather driving tip. No sudden movement. That sudden brake, sudden steering, sudden acceleration. That's what gets you in trouble. Anything sudden, right? And you can stop without caught. Here's the situation, right? So back when I was company driver, I picked up a load of beer out of Fort Worth. Now, those of you who've picked up at Miller Coors in Fort Worth, they make you do a bulkhead in the front because they center the load in the trailer, right? Now, if you just do the straps, that's great. Now, the straps hold perfectly, right? Except the holders don't. So there was, I was running with a friend of mine. We were coming through Durant, Oklahoma, the Choctaw Casino, right there at that traffic light. And a car jumped in front of me and then saw that there was a cop in the opposite direction. So we slammed on the brake when the light turned yellow. Guess what I had to do? I hit the brake, but I didn't slam on it, right? I did a stab braking and was able to stop the truck in time, no problem. What do you think the freight did in the back? All of a sudden, it felt like someone rear-ended me. And my suspension gauge went from 60 to almost 100. And so I had to go a different route home because I was heading to Springfield with it, and I had to go to the yard and where they have a cross dock, and I had to go back there and I had to restack a lot of it so I wouldn't get charged for that. But the bulkhead failed. So in that situation, I controlled the braking as much as I could. It still wasn't enough to keep the load from shifting, right? It doesn't care what you got in the back. Like, I see flatbed companies with the system, like Melton has the same system I do. What if you got a coil in the back and you've loaded it suicide, right? Those of you flatbedders know. And there's rain on the ground, or you got a coil in the back, or rolls of paper, right? That's the part that worries me. So when it comes to extreme weather, that's one of the reasons why I avoid the snow, because I don't know how, I'm not very comfortable with that system. Now, supposedly it disables it if it's covered with snow, but I've got to test it. I mean, I've had it disabled because of the snow, but that's usually because snow built up on it, but it's not on the road. It's that snow that melts when it's on the pavement. So that's what scares me to death about it. Is it causing accidents? I don't know. But I do know that majority of big fleets put them on. Now, if you're the kind of guy that's got a cell phone in his hand all the time, you need that system, because guess what? Maybe you can avoid a collision. And it doesn't really help avoid a collision. All it does is minimize the damage. So instead of killing the person in front of you, just aim them, right? So, Arby's sauce and pizza. That's gross. In the lane departure warning system, I am all for the lane departure system. I don't have that, but for the last 2 days, my left side of this truck's got a magnet attracting every butthead that can't stay in their lane. So, and you got the cell phone guys going, oh, look at, and they're over in my lane and stuff. I am all for lane departure warning systems because people can't drive. So, there you go. At Kenworth, turn that dang collision thing off in the computer. Okay, so Thomas Wilson, we're gonna have to have a conversation. Is your crew still work? No. Pizza? What are you talking about, pizza? Did I miss something? Are you putting Arby's sauce on pizza? That sounds horrible. You know what goes good on pizza? Cheese, pepperoni. No stupid phone. Phones don't go good on pizza. You're gonna butt me pizza. Why are we obsessed in pizza? Boy, you guys are as bad as Triple T on derailing the content. Hot sauce. What about hot sauce? Buy me pizza when we meet. Okay, Thomas Wilson, I'll buy you some carbolicious pizza. But if you're running a lot of southeast, I guess you'll have to wait till winter. Actually, I might head southeast this week. No. Depends on how I feel, because I run my business on how I feel. See? That's my weakness. Just like buying a truck, right? You do that off emotion. If you do that off emotion, you want the coolest truck. You don't care about fuel mileage or how it's geared. You know, the fact that it might be a pain in the butt, the shipper you go to. But you buy it because it looks cool, makes you feel good about yourself. That could be a problem. But if you look at, okay, I'm going to buy this truck because it's fuel efficient, it'll make me money. You know, I'll throw some chrome caps on there, make it look nice. That's better suited. Problem I come across is when passing someone on the right, but the impatient four-wheelers cut in front of me, causing my truck to slow down. It takes forever to pass the slower driver. Well, you know, you're dealing with the governed truck too. Tell you what, to have the collision mitigation system and a governed truck, that would be horrible. That would definitely make me emotional. I've only got 20 people in here. So that's good. That's good. We're at an hour. So we've talked about the challenges of self-dispatch, and we talked about my biggest hurdle in life, and that's basing some of my business decisions based off of emotion. So it's something I'm constantly working at. Mine locked up one time over a Coke box. Jeez. Yeah, and see, in the wintertime, that'd be bad, right? You know, mine set up at 95 miles an hour. Good deal. Does your cruise control still work, though, Thomas? That's the part that's important. Collision mitigation will pick up shadows from overpasses, too. Right, and you can, here's the other thing. You can get them adjusted. If it keeps breaking on you over every little thing, you can get them adjusted. Adjust it up or down. Tape cardboard over it in the wintertime. I don't know if that would work for the medical system. I remember one time at the Schneider yard, there was a guy, and he had taken his license plate and went over the collision mitigation system. And I thought that was interesting. And I was hoping the guy would come out to his truck so I can ask him if his cruise still worked. And how does he get through the Schneider inspection bay, you know, for the quarterly inspections with that on there like that, if that disables it? Had a cardboard box hit the radar and tried to lock my brakes. Yeah, there's, you know, the only reason why I had was because at that time Schneider put out a rule that you had to have a collision mitigation system on your truck. And my old truck had grandfathered in. That was not a problem, but I needed to buy a different truck, right? And I mean, that's why Jeff went and got his own authority. He was like, you ain't telling me I need a new truck when I've got a new truck, you know? And there were people that just bought a truck like 3 months prior that are being told that the truck's not good enough anymore. And that became a problem that they rescinded that, and then I think they pushed it to 2020, I think. The burger's not in here anymore. But what that did is that seriously limited. So there was probably like 50 trucks that I would have loved to have owned, but only one of them had a collision mitigation system out of the new ones. And they were all, except this one, stupid colors. So I picked this one. And, but that's it. Now, here's the deal with Prime. Prime specs their trucks pretty decently. So I have some owner-op spec aspects of this truck, but trucks don't have the collision mitigation. So if I was to buy another truck tomorrow, I would definitely not get a collision mitigation system, simply because the truck will be fleet spec'd, and I don't like a lot of fleet specs. So I can see having the features for newer drivers, but for the more experienced drivers, they need a little more leeway. Right. Well, you know, it's that's the thing though. It's I don't know, the more and more they become, that could become. All right, so, but I don't know, that's, after a while I've learned to live with it. It still scares me on occasion. Probably the most annoying thing is if someone cuts me off to get into the exit ramp, you know, and they hit the brakes as they're doing it, and then my truck just ding and boom. And people have been on the phone with me when that happens, and I'm cursing up a storm because it just surprises you because someone else like slammed on your brakes for you. When in reality, your judgment, you wouldn't have even tapped the brake because, you know, the car had it in control. Even though they were doing an idiotic maneuver, they were okay, but the truck didn't know that. So the truck was like, oh crap, you know. But I've learned to live with it. But the other annoying thing is that, you know, you're sitting there in La La Land like, oh, look at the pretty trees. Look at that pretty car that just passed me. You know, oh, this is a great song. And you look down at your speedometer, you're doing 61 miles an hour because you got caught behind Prime and you had your cruise set at 65, and the truck has adjusted its speed to that truck there, right? And you realize that you've been going 61 miles an hour for the last 20 minutes because it's so gradual, right? So that's the only other annoying thing. So I find myself, okay, now I got to get around Prime, right? So I get out in the left lane. Now I got to gun it to 70, you know, which is usually beyond of what I like to do because I try to conserve fuel. And then I get back over, and then I slow back down, and then reset my cruise. But anyways, guys, we had to govern 65 right. That's the issue. I've had this truck up to 80. That's it. That was to prove a point. I'm surprised Schneider didn't call me on that one. There was a time where I was going through Illinois, and when you have an orange trailer, no one lets you over. Trust me, no one lets you over. Even though we're not governed, even though the ICs aren't governed. And I got behind this camper doing 50 miles an hour. Just boom, there it was, right? So my collision thing's beeping like crazy, and I got my left turn signal out. 1 truck, 2 truck, 3 truck, 4 truck, whole convoy truck goes by. Finally, I don't know if because the person was being nice because he was messing with his cell phone, I get a chance to get out, right? And I got on the CB all ticked off, you know, because that's what you do on the CB radio these days. You get ticked off and you tell people about it like they care. I said, what's wrong? You guys afraid of an orange trailer being in front of you? And then one of them replied, yeah, you guys are always slowing up the highway. So I gunned this truck Once that line cleared, I gunned it and passed all these people that wouldn't let me over. And they were on the scene going, whoa, what the hell? I'm like, yeah, not all of us are governed. Thanks a lot. And I looked down at my speedometer. I was doing 80 miles an hour. Again, I was running off emotion. So I came back over, slowed down to 65, and we were all good. But, yeah, so I've had this truck up to 80. I don't recommend doing that. Tires are rated for between 65 and 75 miles an hour. At least I could go 65 on a Schneider truck to pass someone reasonably. Alabama recently passed a law that you can only be in the left lane. I don't believe it. Snow super trucker. Well, you know, when you pull an orange trailer, you got a lot of you get a lot of crap because people lump Schneider in with Swift and Werner and all the other makes, you know, and you know, Schneider's a little different, you know. They really are. Yeah, but if you blow a steer at 81 miles an hour, hell, you blow a steer at 70 miles an hour, you're asking for trouble. A lot of damage. So, understanding your commenting tonight. I don't know. JB is a strict 65. You know, that's the thing. Most of my career I've had a governed truck, so it was no big deal for me to slow this truck down to 63 all the time. It really isn't. And that's about the sweet spot, depending on how your truck is geared for optimal fuel mileage, right? You know, jerking around or whatever, but you know, then when you're done, cruise. You know, at the Peterbilt, I was always at 60 because that got really crappy fuel mileage. Peterbilt, you know. Might flip it that fast if you blow it. Oh, okay. Pitbull Gator, what's up? Shoot, I blew 2 intermodal chassis tires within 5 days of each other. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. I appreciate the interaction on the live feed. I'm sorry that people's taste, you know. At least that's what my analytics show. Hit the thumbs up. And I'm actually gonna keep this video up. No, that's weird. All the Jameses in my life will be happy that I kept it up. So anyways, guys, take it easy. Thanks for watching. Be safe, be good. Don't let emotions drive your business. Trust me, I know how hard that is. So I'm still dealing with it. So anyways, thanks for watching. Later.